You always have this beautiful red lipstick on, so I kind of took on that vibe today.
I like to be bold. I like to be bold.
Let's start at the very beginning because where are you from? And I want to know where your journey really started because you have a fascinating career.
Thank you. I started over 20 years ago working as a production assistant, actually at MTV in New York City. And it was a great way to learn all the aspects of the business. So I was, running tapes back and forth. I was pretty much a courier in the beginning, but I was on set a lot too. And I was given a lot of creative freedom to produce, direct, write. So as like a kid out of college, that was a dream come true. I would have started in the mailroom. And I was eventually introduced to hosting by watching TRL. I was watching Carson Daly. I was watching TRL literally every day.
The
And I,
best.
yeah, I didn't even know hosting was a job until I saw Carson Daly doing it. I was like, that just looks like the best job in the world. Had no idea how to get there, had no idea what you even had to do to get there. But I just kept my head down. I was still producing and writing and trying to figure out kind of where I fit in entertainment. I was a child actor. I loved being on camera, but I also loved the creative aspect of it. So I loved writing, producing. And after about 3 to 4 years, Viacom had massive layoffs, and I was one of those who were cut. I was devastated. Didn't know what I was going to do. I thought I was going to rise up the ranks and actually become an executive producer one day. I never wanted to leave MTV. So as many of you guys know, our business is very nonlinear. Like there's no proven path to success.
Right.
And right after I was basically coming off the unemployment line, a friend of mine said, "Hey, I'm taking this broadcast journalism course. It's over the summer. Take it with me." And I was like, "Well, I'm unemployed. I might as well kind of figure all this out and learn a new skill." So I went in there and I took a hands-on course for about 6 weeks. I mean, it really wasn't that long. And I just felt really natural at it, but I was learning how to jump in. I dove headfirst, writing scripts, anchoring, video, shooting, everything. And after about 6 weeks, I put a demo reel together with just some basic stand ups. And I got my first job as a general assignment news reporter on Long Island. And from there, I just kind of kept rising up the ranks. I thought I wanted to be a network news reporter, an anchor, and I was like, "This is the path. This is the dream. This is where I want to go." And after about 10 years in news, I got really burnt out, and I was like, you know what? I had my first son, and I wanted a little bit more freedom. I wanted to be happier. I was just very serious all the time. It was so intense and stressful, and I just kind of lost sight of who I was and what I wanted. And after a while, I said, you know what? I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to kind of figure this all out, see what else is out there. And I started to apply for hosting jobs. There were really not many out there. I think I applied for a job at NYC TV. I don't know if you're familiar. And it was for like a random freelance hosting job. And I went and I covered some events around the city and I was like in heaven. I was like, this is just the coolest job ever. I was interviewing, I was doing stand-ups, but I was also, writing packages and producing. So long story short, after that, I just kept kind of jumping from hosting job to hosting job. I got a really great talent agent at the time in Manhattan. And as anyone knows, it's easier to get an agent when you're already working. It's easier to
Mhm.
find management representation when you are already working and maybe you bring them the job as a contract negotiation, just kind of bringing them into the mix of what you're already doing. So after that, I just kept hosting. I was working for AOL as a host as well. And then, as the job goes, after 6 months, they were like, well, we don't really want to do this show anymore. We want to shift gears. So I was like, you know what? Once I get somewhere, and I think this happens to a lot of us as on air talent, they shift gears or they want to either replace you or change the show or just the concept or even management changes. And you're just like flipped upside down again. So I started TV Hosting Academy in 2012 because I said, I need to start something of my own where I'm happy and I'm excited to work every day. I want to work with talent. I love talent. And I just knew the business inside and out. So I started coaching. I started producing demo reels for hosts. I had a lot of comedians, actors, former newscasters who were like, I want to jump into hosting. So my production skills came into play, my writing skills, all of it. And we just really blew up from there. And during the pandemic, everything kind of went online, and I started creating more workshops and programs. And yeah, that's the long-winded answer, but we've grown so much since then.
Well, and I love that you say that because it sounds like you are the queen of the pivot, which is my experience too. Like just little pivots here and there within your career. And I think a lot of aspiring journalists, TV hosts, they forget that you can maneuver your career in the way that you want.
Yeah, and you're always evolving. There is no tried and true or hard and fast way to become a host or a reporter. There's like so many hills and valleys that you have to go through, because being a really good host is a lot about knowing who you are and like being comfortable with that and showing that and being vulnerable. When you're a journalist, it's like you're non-biased, you have to be very professional, very polished, everything needs to be perfect. Hosting is very much the opposite, which was so funny how a lot of journalists that I know that transitioned, as did I, we had to really peel away those perfection layers because it was like to our hindrance. It just wasn't good for us. We were too polished. So over the years, it was like, tone it down. Don't be as polished. Don't be as perfect. Don't memorize your lines. Like definitely be prepared, but don't over analyze everything. And I think coming from a journalism background, we're so programmed to make sure everything is just right. Everything is perfect. But when you're transitioning into hosting, it's more important to have a really strong point of view and have a really good, strong sense of self.
What's your thoughts on the idea of brand, my brand, when people talk about my brand, and how can women hone that skill?
That's such a great question. And branding is so important, and I'll tell you why. So recently I signed a contract with a home shopping channel as their casting director. So I'm working on casting a lot of fresh faces. I am receiving a ton of marketing materials, submission materials, demo reels, headshots, all the things. So all the branding materials, right? What makes it really easy for me is if I know where you fit. Like, are you a home shopping host? Are you a live event host? Are you a general assignment host? Are you a red carpet reporter? Like, what genre do you fit in that makes the most sense? And I don't want people to be afraid of being pigeonholed. It's more of, hey, where can we focus you and find you a spot? Where do you fit the most? And then you branch out. So if you're really good at, talking about brands or products, and you love to demonstrate products, home shopping might be really, really great for you. If you're like, I love to go into a stadium of people, live event hosting might be for you. So it's like, know where you fit and let that brand it really encompass not only that, but also like your essence and your vibe. So I do these fun like branding exercises where we kind of figure out your brand archetypes. And it's like, what are a mixture of the things that you really love to do outside of work and inside of work? Are you more of a, high-end chic vibe? Or are you more of like, kind of like the bohemian vibe? Like, it all goes with aesthetic, but also knowing who you are at your core. So you're not playing a character. You need to know who you are inside and out. So branding is really important. I would always say make sure that everything is consistent though. So on your social media, your website, your demo reels, like make sure all those things are consistent, because if I see you as, a red carpet reporter and then, you're doing something totally different, like a chef on a cooking show, something like that, then I don't really know where you fit. It doesn't really make sense. It's okay to have a variety of passions, but overall, look at where you will probably find the most opportunity and really double down on that.
What do you think makes a confident TV host or journalist?
Being prepared and knowing who you are. I think those are the two biggest things that have always stood out to me. Is just knowing who you are is so really important, because we are so accustomed to trying to fit in a box or trying to be like someone else. And like that could be spotted just like that so quickly. So really just knowing who you are.
When you have clients come in, what are some of the things that you notice in particular that most need to work on? Or is it just all over the board?
So what they really need to work on, I think when I look at a lot of different tapes, or if I'm coaching somebody, I am really looking at their confidence level knowing, I want to see that they can do the job, but also that they have that X factor and that charisma and that confidence, because that's what's going to carry you from one job to the next. The hard skills are teachable. I mean, you can learn those things by doing them every single day, but what you can't teach is self-confidence unless you are doing it like you are really putting that into practice every single day, like doing a video podcast, like shooting content every day, getting up in front of a crowd. If you are not doing those things consistently, and it doesn't need to be every single day, 5 hours a day, but you have to take these little steps to make sure that your charisma and your confidence are just constantly evolving. Because what I notice is insecurity. Like that's the first thing that I notice. If someone's insecure and they're kind of desperate in the sense of I need to be liked, or I want to get this job so bad, I will do anything for it. That kind of repels casting in a way where it's like, we know you really want it, but what are you doing for us in return? In the sense of, are you giving us enough that we can work with? Is your personality going to sell our products? So being really confident in who you are, and I say that in a general term, but really like exploring the world and your life, and like taking time off of work to live and experience life. I feel like as I got older, I got so much less stressed about trying to be this perfect being on TV because it wasn't resonating anymore. And I think when, social media, was the new norm or is the new norm now, it's like people are used to that. They're not used to the overly polished. So just kind of really knowing who you are, always honing your skills, doing things every day that are going to make you a stronger storyteller and a stronger interviewer. All of those things count and come into play.
Especially as somebody that has also acted. You said you were a childhood actor. You've also done some projects recently. I mean, with acting, you're playing a role. But once you become a TV host or a news reporter, now you're really not supposed to be playing a role.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be yourself. Can you talk about that?
Yes, two totally different worlds. It's a very different mindset. So with acting, it's like I'm in a very, I don't want to call it like a cocoon, but like I'm very focused on the character and what my role is in that scene. When I'm hosting, I'm like, happy-go-lucky. I'm having fun. I really get to let loose. So I love having those two to play with because they're very different, but they're two very, very big sides of me, like two very different sides of me, but very prominent sides of me.
You said let loose. How can aspiring journalists and TV hosts learn to do that? Because, it is easier said than done.
It really, really is. What I have learned is have some sort of a pre-show ritual. And what I mean by that is what is going to relax you the most and get you the most hyped up to be the best version of yourself. Like for me, I will do a lot of smiling. I will maybe do like 20 jumping jacks. I'm like getting my energy flowing before I'm going on the air or before I'm about to interview somebody, because it's like getting into that like hype zone. I was a former athlete. I played lacrosse. Like I just remember like we used to play music and we'd get hyped up before a game. It's like almost like that pregame. It's getting in the mindset of we're going into a really big show right now. Like we're going into something exciting, be excited. Channeling that nervous energy into excitement is such a mindset shift that will change your life. So when you are really going into something where you feel nervous, maybe you just feel a little intimidated, turn that up to excitement and switch that mindset to, I'm so super excited to even be here and for this opportunity, and I'm going to kill it.
Girl, I should have done some jumping jacks before I came on. I've just come off of 5 days of working that wildfire coverage in Los Angeles.
You were exhausted, I'm sure.
I am, but I have my coffee with me, so we're good. But I could use some of those jumping jacks. Any other tips that you could give our listeners? Because I know there are a lot of women that want to get or even transition to more the TV hosting realm.
Yes, I'm so glad you asked me this question. So I always follow like the 5 pillars. It's like clarity, confidence, content, consistency, and connection. So we'll break those down really simply. So clarity, if you're transitioning from, let's say, journalism to hosting, do your research on where you fit in the realm of hosting. So are you more attracted to something in the home shopping space? Are you more attracted to live event hosting? Maybe it's talk show hosting. Maybe it's infomercials. Make sure you know what's out there and where you fit. Take a really good audit of your skills, your personality, your vibe, your brand, and say like, where do I feel that I would fit the best and really enjoy and thrive the most? Because that's where you're going to do the best, is where you feel most connected to it. So if you're like, I only want to do entertainment, just know that there's not a ton of entertainment reporter jobs right now that are available. So are you willing to kind of shift gears and do something a little bit different, but you're still able to use those same skill sets? So just do your homework, dig around, watch a lot of, different types of shows, programs, go on social media, obviously, go on different digital platforms and just see like what fits. There's entertainment platforms all over the place if you want to look for something in entertainment, but just look at those different platforms and see where you fit.
I know a lot of our listeners are TV hosts or journalists, but you're seeing people from all walks of life now being able to do this if they have the experience, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. We are getting a ton of submissions from people who just have really great personalities and love to talk about products. So I've been receiving submissions from women all over the world that are like, yeah, I've been doing TikTok shop for a year now, or I've been doing Amazon Lives, and I feel really great when I'm pitching products or talking about products, and they're great, So you don't need a 5, 10, 15-year journalism background to get into hosting. You just have to have a lot of confidence, a lot of charisma, and know where you fit in the industry.
Yeah, times have changed.
Yeah, and it's great and exciting because there's just so much more opportunity than we've ever seen. So I don't want people to get down when they don't see a ton of hosting jobs online. You have to dig around for those opportunities. They are there, but you have to do your research, and it might just not come up in a Google search. You might have to go and research the platforms that you're already on. Do a little digging, like see who the producers are, see who are, who are kind of creating those segments or those shows. Connect with those people.
Absolutely. Okay, next pillar.
Next pillar, so confidence. And we talked about this before, is really showcasing those skills that you have. So whether it's the live selling, whether it's just talking to camera, whether it's the interviewing skills, making sure that you're keeping those fresh every single day, whatever that is. So keep those skills fresh and take a nice audit too of what those skills are, because when you're writing your resume or you're submitting for a job, make sure you're writing all those skills down. A lot of hosts don't do that. And because I know them, and if I see that one of their submissions come through, I'm like, they didn't add, the top 3 things that they're so good at, so it's like, maybe it's teleprompter skills, maybe it's interviewing skills, maybe it's live hosting skills, and they forget to put all these things down. Or maybe it's live events or product sales. I mean, all those things really matter. So take a really good look at your skill sets. Keep note of them. I always keep everything on my notepad in my phone, and I'm like, all right, let me figure out where this fits if I'm applying for something new, and it's just repackaging you in a different way. And then there's content, of course. So content is something that you must keep up to date on your social media. I always say also have a website, even something like a Squarespace where I can see your work. Because when I get submissions, if I don't see what I want on like a Backstage or an Actors Access, like if you haven't uploaded your media in a really long time, so maybe you have like an outdated hosting reel, or maybe it's a commercial reel, I'm like, this isn't really fitting what I'm looking for, I'll go to your social media. Like I'll go to your Instagram, I'll go to your website. I'll take those extra 5 minutes because I like you and I want to see you succeed. So I'm going to do a little bit more digging. So make it easy for casting, like make it easy for talent reps. If they're thinking about repping you, make it easy for them to find you. So have a website with your videos on it, like have clips, social media clips, even if it's like just Instagram reels, have something that's very reflective of what you can deliver, showcasing those skills consistently.
When you go to a social media account, what sticks out to you?
What sticks out to me is their professionalism, having everything that is in alignment with their brand. So I don't want to see a ton of personal stuff on your talent page. I would so much rather you have 2 different accounts, because look at your social media as another landing page for yourself. So it's just another landing page. Put all of your work there, all of your highlights there. Make sure that under the highlights section, you're highlighting all of your great stuff. You're pinning your reels, because I will go to like a pinned reel, or I'll go to the highlights section. And if under the highlights section, it says, home shopping host, red carpet host, live events, like I'm going to choose which one I'm casting for, and I'm going to see your material right there. It makes it easy for me. So I don't have to go digging around. And a lot of times casting directors, they're working for somebody else. They are the one that is tapped to find the talent, but we have to be able to deliver those materials to our client. Mm-hmm. So if it's hard for me to find you and to get links and all those things, I'm not going to have anything to send. So make it really, really easy. Make yourself searchable. So a website, your social media should be consistent with your website. All of those things are important, because if we can't find you, or we can't see you showcasing those skills that we need, we're just going to move on. We get thousands of submissions. So make it really easy. One thing I will mention is, if you are submitting for hosting jobs on like an Actors Access or a Backstage, there are opportunities to leave a note there. And
interesting.
Yes, such a huge tip, because I've noticed that when you do that, and this was a tip that I learned actually from Sean DeSimone, who is a casting director for QVC and HSN for so many years. He says, always leave a note. I never knew how important that was until I was on the casting side. And on our side, on the back end, you can see who leaves notes first. So like it pops up in red if somebody leaves a note. And if nobody leaves a note, you're just kind of blending in the background. So I would suggest leaving a note that starts with home shopping host experience, or live event host experience, or whatever the job is that you're applying for, because now we know you have the experience. I'm going to click in and look further. So it just gives you a little bit of an edge over somebody else that doesn't read the directions and leaves a note. So that's just one really, really good tip. Yeah. Okay, we're up to consistency, or did we go through that already?
I think we're at number 4.
Yes, we're at consistency.
I'm a journalist. Okay. I'm not a mathematician, so
I think we're at consistency. So yes, just keep creating as often as possible. I know sometimes we always kind of fall into a hole where we want to just, stay off social media and kind of get a brain break. But what I would say is, if you have a shoot schedule for yourself, like maybe it's like every Monday and Thursday, I'm going to shoot something, batch create, and release it daily, however you want to do that. I use a tool called Opus Clip, which is really cool. You can feed long form videos in there and they just trim it up yourself. It trims up little clips for you. That's a really great way to keep it consistent, keep posting consistently. Because I'm not a big fan of saying, oh, just shoot every day. Because I don't feel it every day. I know you guys don't feel it every day. And we can see that on camera, right? I mean, totally. When you see somebody that's just mailing it in and just not feeling it, I'd rather you not shoot that day. I would rather you know what? For me, it's easier to pick 2 days during the week or 1 day during the week where I know I'm going to have my makeup on. I know I'm going to feel great. I'm going to dress well. And I have ideas. I'm going to shoot that day and batch create, because I know myself and I'm not going to be shooting every day. So that's just another tip to keep it consistent.
I feel like we're done with the days of you need 3 to 5 Instagram posts every day.
Yeah, over it. Totally over it, because it's not realistic and it doesn't fit in your life. I don't care what anyone says. It does not fit in your life to be living by social media means all day long, every day. It's exhausting. And draining. And we all got into this business to have a little bit of freedom, right? Just to have fun. And the last one is connection. This is a really, really huge one, because without connecting with the right people in the industry, they will never know that you exist.
Whew, go off on that.
They will never know that you exist. So the casting directors, the talent agents, the managers, get in the Facebook groups. I mean, constantly go on LinkedIn and comment market. Listen, see what they're posting, see if you can add some sort of value, or even just comment, thoughtfully comment on their posts, because they're going to see you again and again. And, oh, wow, I remember Nicole, is so great with responding to my post or commenting at least intentionally on my post. And once they start to see you, on a regular basis and contributing, it's like this unspoken rule that you're in the same circle, right? I mean, we all have connected that way over the years. And I found that the best relationships that I've built all stemmed from social media. It all stemmed from just following their post, liking it, commenting on it. And not only that, but like keeping a handle on what they're coming out with. Is it a workshop? Is it a program? Is it like a book deal? Is it something that they have going on that I can help support them? The second I shifted my mindset from like competition to, just collaboration, my life changed because we all are here to help each other. We're all not just trying to beat each other out for the next job. Once you start supporting each other and once you start really building each other up, that's when the really good opportunities start to come. I mean, when I got into coaching and consulting, I mean, there's 1,000 media coaches out there. I could have easily been like, we're competition. I'm not going there. But instead, I was like, let's do something together. Let's work together. Let's support each other. Let's build each other up. Let's cross promote. Let's do all these things. You cannot do it alone. You cannot do it alone because it's just not sustainable. Right? So connect with those people. Make sure you are going to like IMDb Pro, seeing who's casting certain things, what production companies are producing the shows that you want to be a part of. Know the people behind the scenes, connect with those people, reach out, have your materials ready. Don't reach out unless you have your marketing materials ready. By marketing materials, I mean a really super strong demo reel, a nice commercial headshot. Nothing that's obviously, this goes without saying, no selfies, please, but a really nice, bright, happy, personality-driven headshot is really great. I would even have a media kit. Have something that gives them a nice snapshot of you, a bio, a headshot, your skills, topics you are really comfortable speaking about, your expertise, just so they can get a really good sense of who you are and what you can bring to the table.
You made a good point earlier when you were talking about waiting because there's already a person that has a TV host job similar to yours, or, there's already somebody doing what I want to do. I mean, if you ever waited to do these things, you would never do it. So it's like, there's always going to be other podcasters. There's always going to be more TV hosts. There's always going to be other meteorologists, whatever it is that you want to do. But you're the only person doing it. There's only one of you. And so I think that people need to just do it. Just do what you want to do. Don't worry about the other competition. Stay in your own lane.
Yeah. And not only that, but know who you are and what you can bring to the table. Because like you said, there's only one you. And if you are very aware of what you can bring to the table, I mean, nobody else can compete with that. Your style, your energy, your skill sets, the way that you do things, the way that you say things, your strong point of view, you're not going to have the same point of view as somebody else. So know your points of differentiation, know kind of how you stand out, how you're unique, because that's really going to be like your unique selling proposition. You have to know how to sell yourself.
Let's talk about TV Hosting Academy. I mean, I'm sure that a lot of listeners are super intrigued by this.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, TV Hosting Academy was really created to educate and empower on-air personalities to build profitable and sustainable brands. And what I mean by that is that we need to focus on building our legacy, building our brand, and becoming profitable at that. Because no one employer is, number one, going to keep you employed for long enough that you need. And number two, they might be capping your salary at a certain number that you're like, you know what, that's just not enough for me. I want more. I want to encourage people to think bigger, to think of themselves more as a brand and not just a host for hire, because the more that you are marketable and the more that you know what you can bring to the table, more and more opportunities are going to come to you. Maybe it's a brand deal. Maybe it's a consultant job. Maybe it's a freelance job. I mean, there's so many opportunities that come to you when you establish your brand in the right way. And what I do at TV Hosting Academy, along with some of my other guest instructors, is we really hone in on not just the skills, but your career strategy, because that's what it really comes down to. I mean, the hosts that come to me, many of them are so talented already. They don't need a ton of coaching. They need more guidance on the career strategy aspect of our job, because you have to be so willing and able to pivot and reinvent yourself and kind of redirect where your career is going if you're going to keep working. Because right now, the industry is insane. I mean, like nothing is what it was 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. You have to be able to adapt. And that's what we do so well is we will look at the market, we'll look at market demand, and we'll say, okay, let's see what you can bring to the table. How do we package you in a way that is marketable and profitable? And where do we sell you? Where do we pitch you? Where do we help you pitch yourself? So we have a variety of opportunities to work together where we could do the Green Room membership, which is something that we offer. It's an ongoing membership. It's only $97 a month right now. And we meet 3 times a month. We do a small group coaching session twice a month. And then I also have a guest instructor come in once a month to teach a very niche specific area of hosting. So I've had voiceover coaches. I've had live event host coaches. I've had home shopping host coaches. I've had casting directors, talent agents, managers, all come in as guest instructors or guest speakers because it's so much more about connection and networking and meeting people that are like-minded in the same profession that are going through the same struggles that you are. So having that sense of community is so incredibly important. And then we also offer something called the Rising Star Bundle currently, which is 4 private coaching sessions with me. It's access to my signature course, Business Bootcamp for Hosts, which is really a great foundational course that talks about the industry, how to kind of pitch yourself, how to really brush up on those skills that you need, and how to market yourself effectively so you are getting the jobs or an agent that you really, really want. So there's a variety of ways, and I always have pop-up workshops and master classes all the time. So if anyone wants to reach out to me, they can always go to my Instagram. It's at TV Hosting Academy. And then I also have another Instagram account, which remember I said before, always have 2. I have at the real Nicole Sellars, which is more of like a personal account of mine. But yes, get in touch with me. Go to tvhostingacademy.com. Everything's listed there. But some of my pop-up stuff I'll have on my link tree and my Instagram. So always just follow me on social media for that.
I'm so happy that you have something like this because I'm sure there's people that come to you that say, Nicole, I have the skills. I know what I'm doing, but from there, I just don't know how to maneuver this business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's like 90% of my business is I have such incredible talent come to me with that same problem. They feel stuck because they don't know what the next step is. They'll go to like either a weekend boot camp or maybe they've been a reporter for 5 years. I mean, like whatever phase that they're at, a lot of them are super talented, but yeah, they don't know where to go. And it's not their fault. There was never a class in college about, hey, how do I navigate the business of hosting? Like that's how TV Hosting Academy was born. Nobody knew. Everyone was just kind of guessing. And I use myself as the example, like hard news just wasn't for me after a certain amount of time. It just wasn't fitting my lifestyle anymore. So I'm like, how do I turn this into something that I can transfer my skills, but also have a really good time doing it? And how do I make money? Like, how do I do that? So it's really just knowing how to monetize those skills also.
And sometimes it takes time to learn that too. Sometimes you have to do the hard news and be like, wow, I thought that was for me, but it's not. And that's okay.
Yeah. But it's not a loss because the skills that I learned as a journalist, oh my gosh, have taken me so far. I mean, just everything that I learned. I mean, we're efficient. We are brilliant. We're on time. We're punctual. We're very, into details. So our skill sets are so valuable that it can easily transfer to hosting with the right mindset and the right branding.
Gosh, Nicole, these tips are so amazing. This is so helpful. Before I let you go, though, I do have some quick fires that I want to shoot off.
Hit me.
All right. Your coffee order.
My coffee order. I'm such a simple girl. I really like hazelnut coffee with a little bit of skim milk and low glycemic sugar. It sounds really weird.
What? Wait. You need to explain this a little bit.
Okay. So as you get older, you try to cut back on carbs and sugar. So I started researching low sugar because I do not do sugar alcohols. It just is not good for my stomach. So I looked into coconut sugar that is low glycemic.
Wow.
And it tastes fine. I got used to it, but it's super low in sugar. It's probably made for people that really can't handle sugar, but I like it because it's very low in sugar. But yeah, simple stuff.
Your favorite travel destination?
I really loved Amsterdam.
I just went too.
Oh my gosh. I fell in love with Amsterdam. So I studied abroad back in the day, and I lived in London for a while, and I would travel back and forth from like Thursdays to Sundays. And Amsterdam was just like, I mean, it was just magical. Like it was beautiful
Gorgeous.
and so underrated. And I was like, why have I not come here before? So if I could go anywhere again, that's where it would be.
Your favorite restaurant? And you live in Atlanta,
So I'm
correct?
in Atlanta now, but because I'm a New Yorker at heart, I miss my Italian food. So I have been searching far and wide for Italian food around here. I have found one restaurant in Atlanta called Vinny's on Windward. It's a little bit north of the city, and they have really incredible veal parmesan. I am not a veal person, but anything that is semi-authentic Italian, I will go have a nice glass of wine, and I am happy.
Okay. My in-laws live outside of Atlanta, so we'll have to set up a Vinny's date at some point.
Yes, perfect.
Something people often get wrong about you.
That I've got it all figured out in this business. I don't think I do. I don't think anyone ever will. I think when people look at me and they say, wow, she's been doing this a really long time, she must have it all figured out. I am so humbled in the sense of I know that at any moment, things in the industry will shift and I will have to adapt again and I'll have to learn all over again. But that's what's exciting about this business is that nobody has it all figured out. Nobody
No,
knows
but
what's going to happen 6 months from now, but you have to be ready to adapt.
the last movie, TV show, or book you watched and loved.
Ooh. Okay, so I'm binging something on Netflix right now, which is an older series by Darren Star, the creator of Sex and the City, and it's called Younger. And it's from
Heard of that?
yeah, and it's about a 40-something-year-old woman who's now single, and she kind of re-enters the world as this 26-year-old reinventing herself. It's set in the backdrop of like Manhattan and Brooklyn, so like that's my love language. And she pretty much is living this big lie that she is 26 and she's starting all over in the publishing world, and it's hilarious and adorable, and I love it.
Oh, I'm going to have to check that out. That sounds actually really interesting.
Yeah.
A snapshot of an ordinary everyday moment that gives you true joy.
Oh, I love this question. Snuggling on my couch with my kids and my dogs, watching Netflix with a glass of wine.
Nothing better. Sounds amazing to me, too. If you could switch lives with one person for a day, who would it be?
Reese Witherspoon. Reese Witherspoon, because she is so incredible at building out a brand that is just will blow up over time. Like it has already exploded. Her Hello Sunshine era is just so incredible to watch. She's such a businesswoman. She's so business savvy. She's an incredible actress. Just to like be a fly on the wall at her offices, just to see like what's next on her list is just mind-boggling to me. Like that would be mind-boggling to me because she took something so simple like a book club and she turned it into this like empire of creating these incredible films and TV shows. And she's employing all these fabulous women that I'm like, she's just a cheerleader for women in general, but she's super creative. She's a great actress and a kick-ass businesswoman. So yeah, Reese Witherspoon.
And when I think of on brand, there's maybe nobody else that I think of so on brand as Reese Witherspoon.
Oh, I know. I mean, look at her. I mean, she had a fashion line. I mean, like she's just spread out everywhere. And that's why I always say to everyone, like, think bigger. Like you are so much bigger than a hosting job. Like your skill sets, your personality, your look, like all of it is marketable. And that's what brands are looking for to collaborate with. They don't want just a host for hire anymore. They want someone with a platform, an opinion, a point of view, someone who has a following, somebody who has something to say. So really work on yourselves where you know what you have to offer people and you know that, you know, what you have inside is just as beautiful as what you have on the outside.
And well, that's what this whole podcast is about. My podcast title is I Am Not a Weather Girl. I'm a meteorologist, but I'm also so many more things than that too. And that's
Yes.
what I totally want to emphasize when we do this podcast.
I love the idea because I think to women, especially in our industry, we're so used to fitting a mold. And I want to stress right now, like nothing will hinder you more than trying to put yourself in a box where you're only this perfect being and you're so overly polished. And it's like, no, like we want to see who you really are, what your thoughts are, how you feel about certain things, because that's what's really going to allow us to connect with you.
If you could go back in time to when you first started your career, what piece of advice would you give yourself?
There's no perfect path. Trust the journey, and you're going to wind up where you're meant to be. It's such a simple thing, but it's so true because I remember years ago when I started out in news, I thought like network news anchor was it for me. I was like, that's it. I'm going to work my butt off until I get there. I'm not going to stop. And like so many of your listeners, I had that drive and determination to beat out everyone else that was there. I wanted to make it to the top. I didn't know which network, but I was like, that's my calling. That's what I'm going to do. The closer I got to it, I had that aha moment when I sat down with my agent and he was like, listen, if you take this network anchor job, like you are going to have to go to Japan if there's a tsunami in Japan. Like you're going to have to drop your life and you're going to have to go. That's the reality of what you're signing on for. And I had to take a step back and digest that and really take a look and say, well, maybe this wasn't the plan for me. Maybe the network anchor job isn't it. Maybe there is something else out there. So I had to really trust that my heart and my passions were going to lead me in the right direction when I stopped listening to that inner monologue in my head that said, this is the path, this is what you need to be doing. Listen to your heart first. Because if something's saying it's not right and it's not something you are super excited about, there's something else around the corner.
Your gut will always tell you.
Yeah, always. No matter how scared you are, follow that gut.
Nicole, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. You mentioned where everybody can find you. Once again, what's the email if anyone wants to get in touch with you?
Yes. So anyone can email me at nicole@tvhostingacademy.com. You can always go to tvhostingacademy.com, my website, and my Instagram is @tvhostingacademy.